651,000 laid off since February. As a nation, we're at 8.1% unemployment rate. This is the highest unemployment rate since 1983, a 25-year high for unemployment. Most Americans believe that we are living in scary times. The average American believes that the U.S. economy is actually bleeding. Just look at today's USA Today headlines, and it reads, "Sour U.S. economy has put 40% of Americans on edge." In other words, they've polled people, and the poll says that the ages of 30 to 49 are worried the most. What are they worried about? Probably going to be in a recession for another 2 to 3 years. Lost jobs. People are wondering, where are the jobs? People are extremely fearful. People are concerned about where America stands in this world. In other words, we've lost our standing in the global context. Increasing concern over the direction of domestic and foreign policy. People are exhausted over partisan politics. There is little confidence in the free market system. Not sure if it's time to buy stocks. Even smart people have lost a lot of money in the stock market. People are afraid to buy companies. In a bad economy, people have to make very tough choices. There's a national call for households to develop their own stimulus package. However, I want to take a stand in the Crescent City here in New Orleans, Louisiana on Friday, March the 13th, 2009, and make a national call for entrepreneurship. In other words, getting Americans to behave and act like free-thinking people. Very happy to be here in New Orleans today. I'm Dr. Keenan Grinnell, and I'm Vice President and Dean of Diversity, as well as Associate Professor of Africana and Latin American Studies at Colgate University. However, I am not here in that official capacity today. I'm here in the capacity as the President of the African American Entrepreneurship Summit that has been around since 1994. And just to give you a little idea about who I am, just recently I published a book entitled Entrepreneurship in South Africa and the United States Comparative Studies, along with a friend of mine who's actually a native of New Orleans, Dr. Terrell. Don is the director for the Center for Governmental Services at Auburn University. Don and I have been able to put together a collection of essays that basically looked at the African American struggles in terms of black entrepreneurship here in America and black entrepreneurial studies struggles in South Africa. Basically arguing that there is two nations but one idea, and that one idea is that of wealth creation and entrepreneurship. We've also created a journal which is called the Entrepreneurship Policy Journal. That was actually funded by the Kauffman Foundation, and the Policy Journal led to the creation of the development of the book that we just published. So we've had a history of building an infrastructure, in other words, in order to create an intellectual platform as it relates to African American entrepreneurship. However, to really get a good sense of what I'm all about, to really get a good sense of the discussion that I'm going to have here today, I have to give you a semblance of how I am and how I became to be. As you notice, I put together an intellectual tree, and at the base of that intellectual tree is the famous Booker T. Washington, who was the headmaster at Tuskegee Institute. And to be quite honest with you, I also could just say, just read Booker T. Washington and you wouldn't even have to listen to anything else I have to say here today. I could borrow this from an example. Ray Kroc, who's the founder of McDonald's, actually gave a speech to a group of conference attendees several years ago. He was aging, and they wanted to hear from him in terms of his last set of comments. What were those last great words he was going to say to his group of McDonald's operators? I understand that he got up to the podium, he walked up to the mic, and he said, "Hotter, faster, cleaner." And he looked out into the audience again, he said, "Hotter, faster, cleaner." And then he sat down. That was the end of his speech. So in the words of Ray Kroc, read Booker T. Washington and I could sit down. But there's also other individuals on this intellectual tree that have actually shaped how I think about entrepreneurship as well as wealth creation and job creation. T.M. Pryor, wrote a famous book entitled Wealth Building Lessons of Booker T. Washington. George Kosmatsky, who's a Russian immigrant, and he's actually the founder of the Institute for Creativity and Capital at the University of Texas at Austin, in which I'm a global fellow there. He has built the world-class technology, commercialization, entrepreneurship, and economic development think tank in the world. Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal, author of No Black Lives, No White Lives, Just the Truth according to Tony Brown. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, It's a Black Choice, as well as Our Daily Motivations. And there's a motivational quote that comes out of Dennis's book. In one hand, I have an idea. In another hand, I have a challenge. Which one grabs your imagination? I often think of that when I think of wealth creation and job creation in America. And last but not least, the individual who I actually attribute to me being here in New Orleans today, but being anywhere on the planet talking about entrepreneurship, talking about wealth creation and job creation, is Dr. John Sibley Butler. Dr. John Sibley Butler is the foremost authority in terms of African American entrepreneurship in America, and he's the director of the IC Square Institute at the University of Texas, where I'm a global fellow. So let's get started. What do we mean when we say diverse groups in terms of how they create wealth and create jobs in America? First and foremost, what we're really talking about is the individual entrepreneur who follows the inner beating of their own particular heart. And what is the definition of an entrepreneur? Well, it's one who runs his or her own business. And in the words of the famous religious leader in New York City by the name of Reverend Knight, someone who minds their own business. What's the definition of entrepreneurship? It is the process of finding a market, mobilizing resources, and actually starting a business. Now, what are the benefits of entrepreneurship? Because if one is going to engage in wealth creation and one is going to engage in creating jobs, there has to be a direct benefit for that person's involvement, that person's hard-earned sweat, that person's equity, that person's commitment to that particular enterprise. One is to manage your own destiny. Feelings of personal independence. A lot of people that I run into that own their own business don't want to work for anyone else but themselves. They are not going to get up and go to a job, punch a clock, and get a gold watch after 25 years of service. They want to manage their own destiny. They want to have feelings of independence. And I like to call them Frank Sinatra babies. They want to do it their own way. Comfortable income. Yes, entrepreneurs can make a very comfortable income. High level of prestige within the community. When you think of the leaders within our communities, we often think of our business class. It's also a route to social mobility. Social mobility means that you have an opportunity to intermingle across all different sectors, and therefore those individuals who are engaged in the act of entrepreneurship have an opportunity to cross a lot of different boundaries within the community, and they are respected, they are counted upon for a lot of different things, as well as an avenue for career development. Now, what are some of the distinguishing characteristics of diverse minority entrepreneurs? First and foremost, they're risk takers. They are willing to step out on what I call the pirate plank and take a deep dive and step off the plank and take a risk. I admire entrepreneurs who do that. They believe in writing their own paychecks. I have a friend who says it's always best to write on the front part of the check because then you know who's in ownership of the company. Willingness to sacrifice by being disciplined and working hard. If you are involved in enterprise development of any type, whether you're running a major McDonald's operation, whether you're running a major Fortune 500 company, whether you're running a major high-tech organization, or if you're running a small consulting firm, your willingness to sacrifice and be disciplined and work hard is the key ingredient to you being successful. There's no such thing as an 8 to 5. It's 24/7, every day, all day. Hunger for success. I've met individuals who have a dogged determination to be successful. That means that there's going to be nothing and no one that's going to stand in their way in terms of becoming a $1 million sales organization, a $500 million sales organization, a $1 billion sales organization. In other words, they are always hungry for success and hungry to be recognized for that success as well. But here's the key. Respect for the power of money. respect for the power of money. I remember a friend of mine telling me, pull out a dollar bill out your pocket and squeeze that dollar bill. Can't you